What's up everybody, my name is Asia Samson and today on Baptism Overland we are going to install roof rack zombie lights for $100. Alright, so if you saw my last video then you know that I just finished installing a Garvin Expedition roof rack onto my 4-door Jeep JK. Now, just like everybody else will want to do, you're going to obviously want to add lights up there, right? Something that will illuminate around you, rear lights, zombie lights, roof lights, floodlights, whatever it is you want to call them. But I wanted to kind of keep it in budget. There are amazing lights out there, right? Super expensive, but look awesome and will light up the night like nobody's business. However, unless somebody wants to send me some lights, then I had to go with Amazon LED lights. They're probably knockoffs, they're probably super breakable, probably cheap, I don't know. To be honest, I really don't even know how often I'm going to use these lights, right? Like I know I'll use them when I go camping, but it's not like I'm gonna be using these lights every day. So if, I'm not using them that much, then, maybe the lifespan of them will kind of last me unless they flood in the rain or whatever. I did test each one of these lights to make sure that they work when I got them, and they work fine, and they were actually super bright, so for all I know it could be really great. But if you have lights and you want to support this video and send them to me, and then I'll replace these in a heartbeat. But what I got right now, I got 4 of these. They actually came in a pack and all 4 of them cost like $30. And then I got like 2 of these, which were for the rears, and they came at like $30 as well. So far that's like 60 bucks. And then I got 100 feet of wiring because I'm actually gonna have to go to the roof rack, to the back, and then up back to the front. I can't go to the front because the roof rack, you allow, it can pivot, right? It can pivot backwards, and so that light there can't be wires going to the front or else it's gonna snap them off, or I'm gonna have to disconnect them or whatever. So I'm just gonna run it to the back, come down the back of the Jeep, and then underneath the Jeep, and then into my engine bay. I got my wire taps and connectors, 100 feet of loom, and then also, as far as brackets are concerned, there are great brackets out there for lights, but they're also super expensive. Like I know the Garvin Expedition one, they're like $26 a piece. So to get 6 of them, it's already going to cost me upwards of like $175 or so. So I wanted to see if I can make it myself. The roof rack has all these like little ridges and areas where I think I can clamp onto something if I make something myself. So what I did was I went to Home Depot, purchased these aluminum metal, basically metal strips that have holes in them. And I also have my nuts and bolts and everything like that. Basically the plan is, I'm gonna cut them really short, and then I'm gonna, use 2 clamps to clamp, 2 bolts to clamp them down on one side, and then the light will hang on the other. They are aluminum, so see they're very bendy. But I figured that if I just, cut them to a little piece, then they should stay flexible enough. And what I did was I got 2 of them so I can just double up. I'll double them up, and then that way that should be really rigid. If I start to notice that while I'm driving, these, my lights are like flapping in the wind, then I will have to revisit this and redo it again. So let's cut these up, and then we'll spray paint them to be black so they don't stick out, and then let's see how this all goes. Okay, so first thing I want to do is cut the ones for the rear. The ones for the rear lights, I'm actually going to be installing it onto some bolts that are already on the roof rack itself. So I just need to make sure that this sticks out far enough. And so I'm gonna put the light here, and knowing that the roof rack will probably start right here and the bolt is around over here somewhere, this is probably going to be the right size. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm gonna cut 7, 2 of those, and then 2 of these. So, well, 4 of these. So whatever I have left is I'm just gonna measure it and see how much I have left of that. And right now there is about 24 and a half, right? 24 and a half left. I need to somehow make these into 4. So 6 inches each, I'm guessing. The good news about the the ones on the side is that they're actually going to sit underneath the roof rack. Only reason why I don't put them into the spacers that are there now is because it won't clear the roof. So all I really need to do is kind of push the lights far enough out so that it doesn't hit the roof or the roof rack. And so I really don't need huge spacers for this. So now that I have this kind of measured out, let's go and cut it up. Okay, so who had 12 pieces of metal to cut and went through about 3 of his last Dremel cutting bits and was almost running out right as he was about to make that last slice? This guy. Okay, so while I wait for the paint to dry, I'm going to go ahead and measure the roof rack to see how much wire I'm going to need for the top of the roof rack going down to down the back and then eventually going into the wheel well. Right now, the way I have the diagram set up is I'm going to have the 2 roof lights on the front. It's going to be connected by 1 wire, and then I'm going to have a long wire that's going to tap into those wires going down the middle of the roof rack. That wire will then lead down the back of the Jeep and into the same spot where I have the license plate bracket going into. I will also then, for the 2 back roof lights, I'm going to have those tap into that 1 long wire. Regarding the back, I'm going to wire that up separately because that's going to go to a different switch. So that way I can control the side and I can control the back individually. Okay, so I got everything, the harnesses kind of created, but before I actually start mounting it up on the Jeep, let's just test it and make sure all the lights are working. So I'm going to plug directly into my Apollo Intech pod and see how it lights up. If it lights up, we're good to go. All the lights wired up, ready to go. I'm just going to turn on the car and see if it runs. They are exposed wires, so I wanted to make sure that they're on plastic surface. Alright, don't put anything in your engine bay that might spark because they're exposed right now. I just want to make sure the lights work, so let's see. So now that I know the harness works, I'm going to go ahead and tape it up with some electrical tape, put some loom around it, install that first, get it in place, and then I can go ahead and mount the lights and then install the lights to this harness. Alright guys, so I built the my harness. It's all loomed up, ready to go. Looks super clean. See that? Super easy. Everything's all ready to be mounted up there. So let's get on the roof, mount this first, and then we'll get to the rear light parts after all this. Now that I have the wiring for the side lights pretty much mounted up and it's clean, hid it under the rack and everything, so you really won't even see it. I'm now going to go ahead and repeat basically the same process for the rear lights. Do the same thing I just did. I'm not going to bore you with a part of that video, but basically I'm going to make a harness for where the rear light's going to go, put that in the loom, and then wire that down to the back of the Jeep also, so that it'll be ready to be wired up to the engine bay. Lights are all mounted up, wired and everything. Everything's great. I tested it with the battery, put a long line on there just to make sure that it lit up before I started hiding the wires and taping it up. Everything works great now. So all I got to do is basically, I made 2 looms. This will basically go from the engine bay down the bottom, along the side, and then up through where the license plate bracket is now. And then I'm just going to run the wires through there, plug them up, and I think it should be good to go. Want some free advice? Here it is. One of the first upgrades I ever did when I first bought my Jeep was I got myself an S-Pod type of situation. In my case, it's the Apollo Wintec. By the way, Apollo Wintec is not paying me for this video. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. All it really is it's just a pod that allows you to plug in all your auxiliary wiring into this thing. And then this leads to a switch panel that's inside my vehicle. What's great about a situation like this is that if you know you're going to get more than 2 or 3 lights, get yourself one of these, because then once you get your lights in, or winch, or anything that's auxiliary powered, you just have to plug it into this, and then each one of these correlates to a switch that's already hooked up. Super simple. Makes it so much easier. I would suggest you do that. The reason why is if you start hooking everything up before you get one of these, and then later you decide you want it all to be in one switch panel, now you're going to have to disconnect everything, move all the switches, and then plug them all into this. Just save yourself the headache. Get yourself one of these first, then plug everything directly into this, and then you are all set to go. All right, moment of truth. We're going to see if the lights work, and I'm going to have my son Eris test it out. You want to be the one to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah? You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if you can read. I want you to press Rear lights first.
Rear lights right there? This one?
Nope. Rear lights. Okay, and then now I want you to press roof lights. All right. We got lights. All right, recap. Can you install zombie lights on a roof rack for less than $100? Absolutely. Is it going to be everything that you hope for? Nah, we'll find out. Like I said, these were pretty cheap lights. Who knows how long they're going to hold up? Who knows how good the quality is going to be? Right? But again, who knows how much I'm actually going to use them? Like, how often am I really going to be lighting these things up? If I'm only using them once or twice a year, then, they should serve my purpose. But if I find that I'm actually using them a lot more than I thought I would, then I'm probably going to want to upgrade to something a little bit more brighter, something a little bit with more quality, like Rigid or KC Highlights or something like that. The only thing that I am kind of still on the fence about is the location of the side lights. Right now, they're sitting right below the roof rack. And the reason why they're over there is because when I tried to put them to the side of the roof rack, the way my back ones were, the length of it was too long, like from the back to the front, was a little too long. And so when you put them up there, they would keep bumping up against the side of the roof rack. Now I can fix that with a longer bracket, but then the longer bracket means that those lights are going to stick out a lot more, and I really didn't want my lights to be sticking out. I kind of wanted them flush with the vehicle. But we will see. Like I said, I really don't know how I'm going to accessorize the roof rack yet, and I can always reconfigure. I'm really happy with the results. I'm sure you're wondering how it looks. I'm sure you're wondering how it looks at night and how it's lighting up. So without further ado, then let's roll the B-roll. GoPro, stop recording. GoPro, stop recording. Dang it!